How's it going? Welcome back. It's Jonathan. Now, in this video, we're going to be taking a look at a book called Plato and the Quran, and then we'll be going ahead and taking a look at the market. So, before we get to that, I'm just wondering who here has actually signed up for Traders Proxy. Has anyone actually signed up for Traders Proxy yet? Are you using Traders Proxy in your trading? I haven't really done a public announcement of this, but this is something that I had been working on for quite some time, and it is a direct competitor to a BPS services or anyone who is experiencing any sort of issues when they trade, whether it's delayed quotes coming through, issues with the ticks of their charts being loaded, connection issues. Everyone goes straight for the VPS because they think that's going to solve their problem. But I solved that and I created a solution that you can use directly in your own MT4 mobile phones, TradingView, Optima. It's all available. And if you want to give it a go, you don't have to pay us anything. It's available for free. For 7 days, you could try it. Okay, it's available for free and you can get started right away. If you don't want it, if you don't like it, you just click the cancel button or you can go into the portal and cancel your account. But you can go ahead and test it and see what it's like. I'm not going to go into too much more detail because this is not a sales page or pitch on Traders Proxy. But if you want to take a look, it is tradersproxy.com. Like I said, what we're going to be looking at today is, and I'm not going to be able to show too much, but we will just do a little bit here and there at Plato and the Quran. Now, oh geez, this book is very similar to reading The Secret Life of Real Estate and Banking by Phil Anderson. It is a thick book. Let me just see what I've got on here. I have around 600 pages. I've got a total of readable pages around 555 pages. So it's a big one. But if you want to grab a copy, you can grab a copy. You can buy it. I believe it's on Amazon. It's available to buy on Amazon hardcover, paperback, 562 pages. There you go. So I must have missed the intro and the outro or something like that. But anyway, I just go to paperback. You don't really need the hard copy if you just want the material. But this book is going to be taking a look at all the numbers in the Bible. Okay, a lot of the stuff in the Bible and in the Quran. And it's all about numbers. It's all about the stories. It's all about how things are fitting together in the grand scheme of things. But what you'll notice is that, yes, we're actually looking at the planets as well. So it's kind of tying up everything, all the astro stuff, all the numbers, and it gives you, I'm not going to say it's going to give you the definitive answer, because I guess we'll never really know the definitive answer. But if we look at it from a pure mathematical perspective, this is probably as close as we're going to get, all right? So that's what this is about. Now, I've got two chapters for you. We're going to be taking a look at number 53, and then we're going to be taking a look at the number 72. Okay? So 153 was spoken about a lot in the Bible. Again, also spoke about it. And for those of you who are familiar with the number 72, which is half of 144, okay, and it's larger scale cycles, okay, they're also all very important. So I won't dwell on that. I don't want to bore you. We'll jump over the charts very, very soon. But let's take a look at this. The Bible describes several occasions where Jesus, after rising from the dead, appeared to his disciples. John 21 records the third of these occasions and includes the notable mention of 153 fish. Peter and the others had just witnessed a miracle of Jesus involving a large catch of fish, in which Simon and Peter climbed back into the boat and dragged the net ashore. It was full of large fish, 153. But even with so many, the net was not torn. Why was the number 153 placed within this allegory? And that's kind of the same thing that I like to always raise to you is we got the spiritual side of the Bible, but then we also have the encoded messages of the Bible. So whether Jesus is king, which Jesus is king, we need to look beyond that and really get to the root cause of what all these meanings of the Bible mean. And that's going to let us view the world in a different light, which is what we do at the International School of Forecasting. If we multiply it by itself, so 153 times 153, we get 23,409. Moving the zeros, we get 23 and 49. This is a whole lot of the numerology stuff, yeah? 2 times 3 times 4 times 9 equals 216, which is the code. If we take the double octave, 153, we have the equation 153 times 4, which is 612. 612 is, of course, a rearrangement of the code number 216. The 3 digits of 153 can be rearranged in 6 different combinations: 153, 135, 351, 315, 513, and 531. If we were to put these in pairs and add them, we get 153 plus 513 equals 666. This one equals 666, and this one equals 666. 666 is the number of the beast from which we get 666, or 6 times 6 times 6, being the number 216, which again is the code. Let us now double 216. 216 times 2 is 432. 432 is a very important frequency number for those who know. The mirror image of 432 is 234. If we add them both together, 432 plus 234, we arrive back at 666. The cube value of each digit of the number 153, when added, will get us back to 153 again. 1 times 1 times 1 plus 5 times 5 times 5 plus 3 times 3 times 3 equals 1 plus 125 plus 27 equals 153. It's pretty deep, isn't it? But these are all kind of the numbers and the way that people use mathematics to figure out what the secrets of the Bible are. Now let us add all the numbers from 1 to and including 153 using the formula S equals N, in brackets n plus 1, closing brackets, in another bracket, or to close it all off, we have divided 2. Okay, so we get the following: 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus etc. until 153 equals 11,781. If we raise this number up by an octave, effectively multiplying it by 12, we have 11,781 times 2, which is 23,562, or the size of Noah's Ark. Now, he covers Noah's Ark in another chapter. I won't be going into that today. Furthermore, the 153 is related to Plato's number in at least 4 ways in addition to the reference of Critias. 153 times 23,920 equals 3,965,760. I had no commas there, which equals 3965676, which equals 396 plus 576, which equals 972. Rearranging 972 gives us 279, Plato's number mentioned with reference to the tyrant. All right, 2. 3. And don't let this confuse you. It's all on here. You can just pause the screen if you get confused with the way I'm reading it out. Number 2 is 360 degrees of a circle times 1.6 equals 576. 576 plus 153 equals 729 again. So we're getting this drop down. 153 plus 351, mirror image of 153 equals 504. 504 times 10 equals 5,040. Another Platonic number. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised. 99 plus 153 is 252. 252 times 2 equals 504 equals 5,040 again. And this is another thing we're going to see a lot in the Bible. Let me get up a little drawing tool. Is the numbers 0, they don't always have to remain there. So if you're doing anything number related or anything, any of this cycle stuff, 504 can equal 54. 504 can also equal 504. And 5,040 can equal 54. 504, 5,040, or 540. Okay, so we get rid of this 0, for example, and it'll be 540. Now, this is important because when you do things like the square of 9, and you are, let's say you had the number 106, okay, this here is going to be moving with a decimal. So it can be $1.06, it can be $10.06, it can be 106, or you can put another 0 on the end, it can be 1,060. The same sort of models that we're applying to numbers. Everything is all the same. It just depends on which tool we're actually using it for. Finally, we may note the astronomical significance of 153, which occurs when we divide the length of the Earth's cycle by that of the Moon's cycle. 365.24 divided by 29.53 equals 12.368, which is the square root of 153. So not only do we have numbers, okay, not only do we have the allegory or the story, 153, but we have codes, we have numbers and their meanings, And we also have the astrological background and the mathematics behind it. It's pretty interesting. Let's take a look at 72. And if you want to learn more about this, you just go grab a copy of the book, but we'll cover what we can freely. We already know that the importance of 72. So 72 times 360 equals 25,920, Plato's great year. And this is also something that Safari talked a lot about as well. So it's not just Plato, but this is the great year, the great cycle is another thing that they call it. In addition, 72 times 72 equals 5,184. The lowest octave of 5184 divided by 2 equals 2592. 2592 times 10 equals 25,920 again. 27 is the mirror image of 72. 27 plus 72 equals 99. And we saw 99 just above where he said he was circumcised at the 8th, 99. So 25920 divided 99 equals 2618. And we're all familiar with this. And all I got to do is grab this little dot, pop it in here, and 2.618, which you'll know if you're doing your extension levels. You'll know that you'll have your 100%, you'll have your 161.8, and then you have your 261.8. Sorry, my messy handwriting there. So it's all connected, okay? It's all basically the stock market, the way that the world works, all based on these mathematical principles. Also, 27 plus 27 equals 54. 54 times 2 equals 108. 108 times 2 equals 216, the code. You'll have to buy the book if you want to know what the code is. I'm not giving that one away. If we multiply 27 by 27 equals 729, Plato's number of the tyrant again. Okay, let's just get rid of this one. Why not? And if we add all the numbers in figure 21.4, which I haven't displayed here, displayed as the lambda of Nicomachus, we also get 27, 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 3 plus 9. And most importantly, the total number of the chapters in our book are 27. Okay, so he's kind of done what Gann did, where he encoded numbers in the chapters. So something you'll be learning a lot about as you study Tile through the air. Our demonstration clearly shows that the presence of the numerical code in the natural world, ancient traditions and allegories, or parables within the Bible and the Quran, they are all, though at times very subtly, related to Plato's numbers. And the disciples came and said to him, which is Jesus, "Why do you speak to them in parables?" He answered and said to them, "Because it has been given to you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given." Meaning, you're allowed to know the secret, but they are not. For whoever has to him more will be given, and who will have abundance. But whoever does not, even what he has will be taken away from him. Therefore, I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, and hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. And in the time of the prophecies of Isaiah is fulfilled, which says, "Hearing you will hear and shall not understand, and seeing you will see, not perceive." So you need ears to hear and you need eyes to see, but they must be functioning in the correct order. And the only way you can get those those functioning in the correct order is by unlocking the code or unlocking the secrets. I don't really have anything else to talk to you about that. A little bit of an introduction to the Quran. Just remember, we've covered off 2 topics. We've covered off Trader's Proxy. If you want to go ahead and take a look at that, it's tradersproxy.com. And I'll be giving away free coupons to all of our members very soon. So if you want to get a free coupon, which will give you a free month, every single month I plan to give away free coupons to our members. Just become a member of the channel, okay? And look out very soon, because I'm developing the coupon section at the moment. I'll start dropping coupons that you can activate your accounts with every single month, okay? Now, on top of that, we'll take a look at Plato and the Quran. So let's take a look at the stock market now. Now, one of the things with the stock market, I'm going to use the Aussie market. I've got something running in the background that something we're working on. One of the things that I had mentioned for a very long time is that I'm very cautious about a potential April high. Now, we can see here, I'm actually going to open up a new one, actually. Let's take a look here. So we know that the market topped out in March, okay? And I was always saying that there's likely to be an April high. Now, I'm going to switch over to the Dow Jones just briefly. American markets. We'll take a look at this one here. So the original forecast for the year 2026 was that we're going to get a sell-off in February. That February sell-off is going to last into March, and then April is going to be a high. We can see here that April 20th was a high. The markets have broken higher into May 6th, 7th. If we look at the SPX, the smaller, or I should say not the smaller, the market that has the most stocks in it has continued to advance. So the April high has not been verified. The market has continued to advance higher and higher and higher. This is, I mean, at the moment, in my opinion, this is not really a good thing. Okay, so the broader market is not being supported, or I should say the bigger cap stocks are not being supported by the overall move of the longer term, or the larger pool, I should say, not longer term, the larger pool of stocks. Okay, it's not really being supported there. And if we take a look at the NASDAQ, again, boom, it's just breaking higher and higher and higher. Are we inverting higher? Yeah, we are definitely inverting higher because the market's moving higher. But what I'm cautious about is actually the Aussie market. And the Aussie market is doing exactly what the US market should have been doing. And that is finding a high in February, falling into its low in March, rising into an April high, and then selling off. This is the framework that the US markets was meant to follow. The Aussie markets are following it, and the other markets, I think the DAX and other international markets, are currently following it. It's only the US markets that are really breaking out right now. And because of that, I'm not really sold personally. I know there's analysts out there that are going to call a bull run. And yes, we're in a bull run. If markets are rising, that's technically a bull run. But I'm not really sold on the overall picture just yet. So we're still in a bit of a sensitive spot where the markets can still move down. Obviously, we were tracking, where are we going to be sitting here? We're going to be moving into a golden pocket. You can see here we came down to a 61.8% level. If I go ahead and reverse these, you'll see it came down into a 61.8% level off this range. So it came down, came up into the next range, hit 61.8. Now we are hovering around this. We'll go ahead and make this a bit smaller over the most recent range. We're currently hovering around the 50% level. Okay. If we break this 50% level, then we're heading down. That would be the general bias. Okay. The Aussie market is doing what the US markets should have been doing. Because the US markets are still trending high, I'm going to show you now how it's no longer moving with the forecast. So if we take a look at the yearly forecast, you can see beautiful, beautiful forecasting happening right here. Down into a March low, we had actually suggested two lows for the markets in March. The first one was early March. The second one, we actually pinpointed the 30th of March as the low, and I gave that in the forecaster. The first one was the 9th of March. The second one was the 30th. We moved up, and this is why we were looking for an April high. Okay, the markets did rally higher and higher and higher. But now this downward swing that is occurring, this one right here, going down into the 17th, or I should say the 15th to the 18th of May, is actually inverting higher, okay? Whoop, can't draw, obviously. It's actually inverting higher. Now that would give us an alert for a potential top at the end of next week. We'll have to see what happens. But ideally, I mean, I don't like it when it inverts because that means I got to flip all the charts, etc. But basically, we're getting, instead of it being a steep drop, we're actually getting quite a strong rally. And the NASDAQ is basically doing the same thing too, where it was meant to be falling. So again, we were looking for a top out on these two. And it was meant to be falling into the 13th before rising out of there. We're actually rising into this point. And when that happens, we would be looking at an inversion. I don't want to go too much into it above and beyond that. We will take a look at the Vietnamese market, because the Vietnamese market is what we were using as our bellwether index. And it's actually made a very shallow low and is now, if I locked it, I blocked it. Let's go ahead and unlock this. We'll leave that on. Okay. The Vietnamese market only made a 9.9% fall. That's okay. The cycle low did come in. Well, at least in the early cycle low did come in. Not the larger one that we're watching, which is due later on into the year and they're out into next year. So we aren't able to call this any longer the top that we were expecting, because this market is now breaking out. You can see right here. But I will explain to you the reasoning behind this. Now, these are all cycles, okay? So we got the red one, which is a cycle, and we got the gray one, which is a cycle. And there's generally At minimum, there's going to be 2 to 3 cycles rolling at the same time. Okay, so there's going to be a cycle, a longer term cycle in this case, which is the what is it? The gray one is the longer term cycle, and then we got the red one, which is a shorter term cycle. Okay, and what I noticed is that each time that this larger term cycle, so it would move up and then fall, it would then move up and then fall, it would move up and then fall, and each time that this longer term cycle, okay, so the gray one fell lower, the markets fell roughly 45%, 40 to 45% over about a year's time period. Okay. This one here topped out in January and fell into October, November, so just under a year. And this one here, I had highlighted a potential high point around January. Okay. And that the markets would then continue to fall for around 1 year into its low point, and that would be an overall 40% decline, which would take us from January to around January, February next year. That was the idea. What we have now, though, is we have this market now breaking higher. That's obvious. I'm not explaining to you anything new. I'm just trying to get you up to speed on what's actually happening so you can actually see it play out. Now, from here, what I'm expecting that is when this eventual top comes in, okay, the original call was that it was going to occur in February. That doesn't look like it's occurring. But when the eventual top comes in, and this will just keep moving over and over and over until that top comes in, this market's going to fall and it's going to hit that 40%. Okay, now I've only got 10 years worth of data here, but this market goes back around another 10 years. We have the in timing solutions, we have the market going back, I think, to around 2002. But this model here projected the decline of the Western markets generally about 4 months in advance. And that's why I was using this one as the bellwether for those markets. The only issue and the only thing that I pointed out for the Vietnamese markets is that they actually have a new government and they're actually very big right now on foreign investment and growth in the country. So that could play out a little bit longer for their markets. But they are a relatively weak market. And I think that once this rolls over, it's going to give us a core idea. It could be this month, it could be next month. It's going to give us a core idea on what the future is going to be like. Okay, so we want to be making sure that when this rolls over, we're getting a lower high and a lower low. Okay, you can see it right here. So this one came down, tried to come up, and then broke it. So this kind of lower high, break of a low. Again, down here, lower high, break of the low. Right here, we have this market coming down, and then it's actually making a higher high. So this is not valid right now. Over here, this took a little while to actually play out that whole sequence here. Took a little while to play out, but the whole message is the same. I would keep watching the Vietnamese index. There's a lot of bulls on the Vietnamese index right now, and they're saying that it is likely to go higher. It could go higher. I would just be cautious about any long-term moves right now. You've got to remember that I'm going to bring it up for you right now. From an ephemeric point, let's go ahead and pop queries down the bottom. And if you want to learn this, you got to join our McMurdo method course, okay? But the crux of it is that basically when the mean node gets down to Aquarius, okay, so currently it is in Pisces. When the mean node gets down to Aquarius, it usually marks the low point of the cycle. And it stays in a sign for around 18 months. Okay, so each time that the mean node moves, each day it moves, and it enters a new sign, it's around 18 months. So 18 months in this sign, 18 months in this sign, 18 months. And that whole cycle is around 18 years, okay? So once it gets down to Aquarius, it tells us that we're at the low point. 90% of the crashes happen between Aries, Pisces, and Aquarius. 90% of the stock market crashes. And about 10% occur between Aquarius and Capricorn. So we're not in a long-term 15-year, 20-year bull run. We are now in 18 months, maybe 24 months of crash zone. The original suggestions was that sometime this year, because we're down at that low point of the cycle, okay, sometime this year, this is going to roll over. I know some people are saying that next year is when it's going to roll over. That could be the case. But probability suggests that anytime now is likely to be the case. The only other time that the markets didn't roll over, as the forecast suggested, was around 1949 to 1955 time period, okay? That was the end of the last cycle. So the markets came in 1950, and then 51, 52, 53, 54, 55. The markets actually didn't crash this time. They had a minor pullback, and then they started to advance again. The difference between then and now, though, is that they had just exited World War II. There was a lot of growth, a lot of boom, a big boom in the economy. Is AI or technology stocks really going to amp up the economy in a way that we're going to survive any form of crash? I'll let you answer those kind of questions. But if we look at the cycle, and all you're doing is you're just tracking each time that the North Node travels through this, and you can go back in history and check it yourself. But from Aries to Aquarius, this is when we'll be looking for a crash to occur. It's around a 2.5 to 3 year period. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, so around this point down to here. Generally, most times the markets have crashed, and we're talking 2008 style crash, 1929 style crash. It's baked into the system. Okay, unless they change the system, it's going to repeat. We are now, and we've already talked about it. We are now right at the end of it, 2026, right here, 9th of May. You can see we're right down here. So we've already passed a lot of the sensitive zone, and now we're heading into alert zone. That's all I want to say about that one, okay? Now, the final one that I'm going to show you, and I have been showing this one at the long range forecast. It's called the Forecaster, and it's offered by the International School of Forecasting. And this is the oil cycle. Okay, we're going to take a look at the oil cycle right now, not gold. This is one I was looking at. Okay, so this is our long-term forecast. This is this one right here. Okay, and we had just put out the other day that I'm expecting. So published the update around the 29th or 30th of April. And I was saying, look, I'm expecting the oil market to come down because we're topping out on the forecast, and then we're trading downwards possibly until the end of May. And then we're likely to have a lower high before a lower low into September. This is the current sort of working model that we're using for oil. I'm not going to go in and break down the actual cycles that we're looking at, but it did suggest that we're going to get a rapid rise in price, and then the markets are going to stabilize. And then the only thing that we're waiting for now is for price to fall lower before they advance again and close the year high. But basically where we are now, I think prices are going to stabilize around here. I know a lot of people are still calling oil $200 a barrel, etc. Could happen. Not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just showing you, and I'm just letting you in on what we do when it comes to forecasting and what we look at and the cycles we look at, etc. This is currently the way the market's moving. Okay. We also have the square of 9. The interesting one on the square of 9, actually. We won't look at the square now. We'll take a look at these Gann fans, okay? Now, the Gann fan from up here is actually interesting. If you don't know how to use Gann fans, you should really learn how to use it. But basically, price moves between each of these fans. And once market breaks one of these fans, okay, so we have the break, we have the initial retouch, it's going to eventually touch the next one, okay? When these occur, markets will generally react on them. Here we can see that the market came up here, reacted on it. And then down here, once it reacted, it also then found support on it. And that's what you want to see when you get the rotation from bearish to bullish, basically. So we got that rotation on it. We then come up to this fan line. You can see that we broke it. Okay, so we broke above it. It's really hard to see right now, but it's this yellow line. I'll zoom out so that you can see it. We just broke below it again. Okay, we broke below it. We didn't really find exact support on it, but then we came up to the next one. We broke it. We found support on it. And this one here, we broke it. Okay, on the way down, we found support on this one. So you can just see how these fan lines provide us support and resistance, and they give us the likely trend direction. And then the most recent one actually just came up and rested on a 90-degree angle. So we're not going to go into that at all. But the major point that we'd be looking at would be a topping pattern occurring around, what is this? This is around $135 a barrel, okay? If the markets do come up here and break this, it's simply relatively entering into new territory or putting at risk, basically, blue sky. Okay, and blue sky is just a simple way of just saying that the markets have reached new all-time high. Okay, it's a blue sky. But that's basically it. So I just wanted to show you that where the markets are currently tracking and what they're doing. But we've currently found basically a support on this red line. So we've come down over it. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, well, this red line, yeah, I can see that it kind of cracks the red line and it came down to this square level. And you've got so many lines on the chart, eventually everything's going to click. That's correct. Don't try to look at the lines as in like they have to touch the exact point. Okay. They don't have to touch the exact point at all. The lines are generally a guide on time and price. And when price comes down to it and then bounces off it, it generally gives us a clue that time and price have squared out, and we can generally see a trend reversal. Now, if the market does break this line, okay, so if it does come down to the red one, break it, so it comes down, falls higher, falls and then goes higher, I should say, finds a resistance point to the up move, then what would happen is we would actually target the next one down. And that's this one, that's this yellow one right here, which I'll zoom out and just show you. That's that yellow one coming down. And I'm going to cut this off because I'm just going around in circles right now. Just a little bit of an update on what I'm looking at and what we're doing. But yeah, that's all I have. So I'll talk to you again very, very soon.